everyone at home. We're coming to you live from the EFF headquarters. You are welcome to our public interrogation, wherein we're going to have, yes, it is called a public interrogation, Mahlatsi. We're going to have a full-on conversation. The President, Commander-in-Chief, is going to have a full-on conversation with 5 journalists who are going to ask him any question. At any point, they'll be able to interrupt. There is no question that is off the table. Every question is permissible, and the journalists will be given the opportunity to ask as many questions and even to make follow-up. So it's more conversational, interactive. You can interrupt. You can follow on to the sort of issue. So what is beautiful about this setup is that unlike a press conference when there's a contingency of journalists, you know, there is hands. There is not necessarily a need for hands. You can just come in and say, this is what I think, you know, you should be addressing, and this is what my question means. So welcome to the EFF public interrogation. This is part and parcel of being transparent, open, but also to be accessible to the questions that have been asked in silos. Let us directly interact. And so to those journalists who are at home, who want to ask questions, we've provided our WhatsApp number in the journalists WhatsApp group that we set up. So if there is anything that arises after we've given some time to the journalists that are sitting here, we will be able to latch on that too. The Commander-in-Chief is here with us. There are 3 journalists as it stands. Tsidi Madia is here present from the far right. Next to Tsidi Madia is Mahlatsi. And then Samgele Masego is also here with us, President. And the Aldrian Sempier will also be joining us. President, I must communicate to you and to the public out there that we received a confirmation from Eusebius Makeza. And this morning he sent a message which is quite private, which he said that he is unable to come anymore. And that is for personal reasons which we can't communicate on such a platform. And we respected his decision. Like many others. President, I think maybe you could also, you'll elaborate on the other matters as it goes. I think that's fine. The Commander-in-Chief, Julius Malema. President.
Oh, thank you very much. And let's take this opportunity to thank the journalists who have made time. Following the press conference of the Hawks and the NPA about the VBS saga, I had some fellow asking about my involvement and that of the Deputy President of the EFF. And I therefore subsequently gave him a call to try and check why is he putting my name into matters that I'm not involved. And I explained to him the long history of how we've been accused from time to time. And I advised him that if we can assemble a group of journalists, perhaps 5, predominantly African, who can come and engage us on these matters, that will be if you have nothing to hide, why are you excluding Polly van Wyk? Because she's the one who has been writing stories about you. And I immediately gave some girl a call and said, please extend the invite to Polly van Wyk, which he did and subsequently Vuyani did. In the conversation between Vuyani and Polly van Wyk, Polly said she's in Cape Town and therefore not able to travel. Vuyani said the planes are now open. You can travel. Then Polly said, I don't have a permit. Vuyani said, you are a journalist. The permits are given to journalists. Then she said, no, actually my husband is a doctor and I'm with the family and my husband is overexposed and I don't want to risk anyone's life. But I can give you the number of Mika ready to come and join because he wrote about VBS as well. And then contact, but I will join through Zoom or Skype. So she had committed to join through Zoom or Skype. Then Mika said they can't join. They collectively took a decision not to join. So that's where we come from with the Polyfan Vic. Different excuses given, trying to find every reason not to be here and take this opportunity to to ask questions. Now, you will know I was arrested in Polokwane for on-point tenders, and I went to court. Since my arrest in Polokwane, I've never missed a court date. I've always been there. But NPA kept on postponing. Some of the accused will also ask for postponement for this or that reason. Not once did I ask for postponement. My last appearance in Polokwane court, I said to the judge, since these people are applying for postponement, can I be separated and be trialed alone? Because I've always wanted to be accountable. I thought that gave me an opportunity to be held accountable. So the judge said to me, you cannot apply to be separated. Only the NPA can apply to separate you. And the judge extended the invitation to the NPA and said, he wants to be separated. Why not take the opportunity? The NPA said, we're not going to do that. And as a result, the judge removed the matter from the roll and said to the NPA, you can institute the matter anytime you want to institute the matter. Then the favorite NPA head came and said she's reinstituting the matter and she's charging Lisiba and them, and excluded me from being charged, at least for now, because she wants to see what will come out of the trial. So she wouldn't charge me. She will not charge me. Even in the future, she can't charge me. Even if she charges me, she will never succeed because I'm not involved in those things. Limpopo had a budget of 47 billion. On Point got a tender of 50 million. Wrongly or rightfully so, I don't want to deal with that. How can a tender of 50 million collapse a budget of 47 billion?
Sorry. Just to interrupt you there on the 50 million. On Point, you, through your family trust, were a shareholder of On Point Engineering. Surely you can't say you were not interested or not bothered on that 50 million rands contract because it impacted on your financial and economic upward mobility in life, because surely as a shareholder of On Point Engineers through Ratanang, you would get some sort of proceeds from the profits that would be generated on that contract.
It's a common cause. It's undisputed. So why do you want to canvass the grounds that are not disputed? I'm a shareholder in On Point. I got money in On Point. Madonsela makes that point. So the matter of whether On Point got a tender rightfully or wrongly is now before court. All I'm saying is, you cannot have a tender of 50 million, collapse a province of a budget of 47 billion. So the intention has always been to smear me, to delegitimize me, so that I do not add my voice in the anti-corruption project of the country. So Castle was the premier, Pinky was the MEC, Masondo was the MEC. All these people who presided over that government are today ministers or deputy ministers in the clean government. The dark cloud of having collapsed the government of Limpopo remains with me, who has never been in government. But where, Samkel, maybe you'll teach me, where have you ever seen a situation where the corrupt get charged, but there is no the corruptee? No one is charged from government, the collapsed government of Limpopo. The person who has enabled that corruption in Limpopo. In the indictment on Point, nowhere do they say Malema bribed this one or that one in order to get the tender. So if I influenced the tender, since I was not in government, who did I influence? And what was the power of this person? And why is this person not charged? If the matter is legitimate and want to resolve the problem of corruption. That is with regard to On Point in Limpopo. So the VBS matter, right? I've never spoken to VBS people. The person I know in VBS and do not know that much about that person is Matodzi, the chairperson of Vele, who was introduced to me at the party of the Bavenda King, Wompepo. So I've never had any dealings with them. This is very simple, Samgel. When a case is opened, the Hawks have got access to all our forms of communication. They can even apply Section 205, get it from the judge, go into the history of our phones. In this case, they've done, by the way, with the VBS colleagues who are arrested. Nowhere will you ever find me in any form of communication with any of the VBS people.
But it's not about communication for you with the VBS people.
No.
There is a bank card, Mr. Malema.
We're coming to that. Yes, we're coming to that. I get it, we're building a case.
Okay.
So,
Julius,
Yeah.
sorry, hold on. I want to go back to the issue around the VBS people that you never had contact with.
Yes.
Then one needs to ask, why was it then? Did you never wonder why they found EFF to be strategic all along? Because that's kind of what the communication has been. When you look at Paulie van Wyck's stories, which, by the way, I understand her stance for her not deciding not to come. I absolutely get it. I think it's sad because there are many questions. She's led the story of VBS and would have been great to have her in the room. But I also understand why she made a decision not to. But coming back to the issue of VBS and EFF is the one thing she's managed to show is that VBS was seen as critical throughout. I mean, EFF was seen as critical. Have you not asked yourself why, if you've never had communications with these people, why would they look at your party?
But it's CD, let's not talk general. We're no longer gossiping now. We're dealing with facts. Read an SMS where they said EFF is strategic of Paulie van Wyk. Read it to me.
All right, I think
There's no any form of communication in Vele, in VBS, in any of the evidence displayed by you where they describe EFF as being strategic. No, not a single
but
one.
you are, Julius.
Yeah.
And perhaps the one SMS that we can go to is
Yes.
the one that Floyd Shivambu sent to the former Minister of Finance, Nene.
Yes.
And just to quote there, he says, "Greetings, Minister. It looks like VBS will be placed under curatorship, mainly due to something that National Treasury had not clarified in terms of accounts of municipalities," right?
Yeah.
So this was a clear attempt by the second in command of the EFF to try and influence a decision on putting VBS under curatorship. We also know on record that the EFF played quite a strategic role in terms of communication via a press release where you were very critical of the Reserve Bank putting the bank under curatorship. So there were at least mechanizations by the EFF to stop the bank from being placed under curatorship. You clearly had an interest there.
Yes, but you're deflecting. She says there's an SMS. I'll come to that.
Okay.
There's an SMS that says EFF. It's a strategic entity to be influenced. I'm saying to her, there is no such communication. There isn't. Nowhere can you find a communication that says Julius is strategic, Floyd is strategic, EFF is strategic. There's no such a communication.
So if there is no such communication,
Yes.
why
Now,
is it that
the EFF opposed on principle, even now, we still stand by that position that the VBS was supposed to have been rescued because it was one of the black banks. And the VBS should have been given a full banking license. And anyone found to have violated the banking regulations should be charged and blacklisted not to practice banking anywhere in the country.
But
Because-
even now, Julius, you're still defending the SARB putting VBS under curatorship. I mean, given what we have seen from the forensic report about the great heist, right? How do you, at this point, say the bank should have not put VBS under curatorship when so many people have lost their money? And clearly there was mismanagement of that bank, and there are still hundreds of old people, pensioners who have lost their life savings. And today you're still saying, in principle, they should never have put it under curatorship.
I still maintain rescue a black bank, arrest the criminals, hold them accountable, recover the money, and pay the depositors. But the idea of a black bank being closed under a democratic government, under a government which never established any bank, that bank was established by the Bavenda king, existed under difficult times. Why should it be closed now? Should we just close a bank because there are criminal elements in the banks, or should we arrest the criminal elements? Let's arrest criminal elements and rescue the bank.
But part of a curating process is just to ensure that you have a deeper look into what is happening internally. And that's part and parcel
We
of
don't
what
oppose
usually
that.
happens.
We don't
but
oppose
Julius,
that.
do you now see, though, right, on the one hand, you as a political party and senior members of that political party trying to save this particular bank, and then subsequently reports of you, allegations of you and Floyd in particular having benefited. Do you see why there would be questions around, did you defend it because you knew there were people close to you that were benefiting from VBS and you were trying to protect that, and also by extension, you were also benefiting?
No, I see that as trying to silence us in protecting a black bank. So anyone who protects blackness must be labeled as corrupt. And I will never buy into that. I've got no one close to me who benefited from VBS. No one. And I've never benefited from VBS. I'm saying to you, Matlatsi, who are here now, I'm giving you an opportunity to present to me and to the country an evidence of me taking a political position because I'm benefiting out of it. We are the ones who have always fought for black people
Mr. Malema,
and Africans everywhere.
Mr. Malema, you cannot use the issue of a black face to fight corruption in this instance, because you are basically just deflecting the issue. On the issue of you benefiting from VBS, for instance, there is this bank card that Paulie has done magnificent work on. Wherever you were, be it Cape Town, be it in the land hearings in the Northwest, be it in the Eastern Cape, be it at the Durban July, this credit card is always where you are, and it's Mahuna Investments, which received over 4.3 million rands from Gameka Investments, which got monies from VBS, which is a company owned by Brian Chivambu. So why is this credit card or bank card always where you are?
Well, my brother is always where I am. He's a brother of mine. We work together. So there is no problem if his card gets to be used where I am. He is here now. The card might be used somewhere here now. Let's take Durban July, for instance. My brother's company hosted a marquee in Durban July where they sell tickets and they sell alcohol to people. If you go to the hotel and you can't say, you know, you celebrating mediocre because you say Paulie van Wyk did an excellent work with this card. That is, there's no excellent work. It's a bank statement. You can give me a bank statement. I'll tell you where you bought. By just looking at that, it's not intelligence.
No,
it's a bank
but
statement.
Mr. Malema, no.
I mean, she went beyond that.
What do you
Literally,
mean?
she has
It's-
been
it-
able
no,
to
it's a
link-
statement and then a Facebook
But
status
Mr. Malema,
of the EFF.
you are telling us that this brother of yours does not work. He's always where you are. And
No,
he's
he's
only making
working.
pretenses.
He was working in Durban. He was working in
What does he
Durban.
do?
Huh?
What does he do?
I just explained to you that in Durban, he hosted a Durban July marquee. I was at his marquee. He sells alcohol there. Let's take the Durban card, for
And then
instance.
he used his own card to then buy stuff for you there.
Not his own, buy for me.
No, you saying he buys wherever you go.
No, but he
Is there
uses his
specific-
card for himself, not buy for
Okay,
me.
okay,
I buy
okay.
for myself. And for information, I don't buy from H&H. I don't buy from Pep. I
But
don't
that
buy
card bought from Gucci as
I don't
well.
buy from Nando's. And I don't buy for that amount at Gucci. So nothing is very close to me. If you were to look at mine in comparison to that, you'll be shocked.
Why don't you
So
subject yourself to a lifestyle
in
audit?
the Durban, coming back here, your friend Paulie did an excellent work, right? The excellent work, Matlatsi, would be knowing that I didn't drive from Durban July. I flew. Because he says Malema on his way back from Durban July, he bought Nando's. But I flew from Durban. I didn't drive. So why would I buy Nando's? My brother in all the rallies of the EFF, he's there. All of them, by the way. All my cousins are active business people in their own right, and they're EFF members and EFF leaders. We spend most of the time together. So, what he does with his own money and his own cut is none of my business. I don't, for instance, the Hawks have got all the power. Let's go to Durban. Let them go to the hotel where the police says I booked into a hotel. Let them go and see. I didn't sleep in that hotel when I was at the Durban July. Let them go to Vryburg, a land hearing. Let them go and check. Every business premises has got cameras. Let them go and check there. They will never find me in those things. Now, coming to your lifestyle audit, there's no politician in this country who has been subjected to a lifestyle audit than me. SARS conducts that. From time to time, SARS conducts that. And you will know that I've been subjected to that. So I'm not scared of such things.
Then why don't you just call for it to be done openly and...
On which
basically-
grounds?
Mr. Malema, you're saying your cousins and your brothers are in business, and some of them are always around you. Particularly,
of them.
All of them, they're always around you. You've had a scenario in this country where former president's relatives and the incumbent's son were all doing business with relatively, what may say, allegations of dodgy business people. Are you not, in a sense, having your brothers or your cousins compromise you? Because they are essentially, with Mahuna and Skameka and Sangantara, they are involved in these issues of VBS.
They are business people. No. They've always been. No, they are. And they
No, I
don't
don't
need.
deny that. When I'm coming in, sorry, Julius.
No, but you just started by saying no. What
Okay,
is
let me
that?
give you a
They
chance
are
before I
business
come
people.
in. No, go ahead.
And they've been business people long before the EFF. Some of them implicated in Limpopo. Some of them have gone through the courts in Limpopo and won cases in Limpopo. I'm not there when they get to be subjected to those things. They answer for themselves. Majority of them, by the way, married with not less than 2 kids. So if they can't do business, what must they do? I can't feed them. In a country where the unemployment is very high.
So you are saying that it's okay
Hold on.
to have your cousins allegedly compromise you in the form
No,
of the
they're
way
not compromising me. It's correct for my cousins to do business. Let them do it.
Okay, Julius.
Let them do it.
Fair, I accept that. Né?
Yeah.
You know, last year, towards the EFF second elective conference, the NPA,
Yeah.
you were upset about the behavior of particular EFF leaders in regions, in provinces, those who were lazy.
Yeah.
And you were speaking about the clumsiness and the impact of all of that on brand Julius Malema specifically.
Not me.
No, hold on, let me finish. Yes, you.
No, but
because then, Julius, before then, you and I had a sit down.
But quote it.
I'm
gossip.
I'm not gossiping. I'm
quote it.
taking you to our interview.
I've never said that. Quote
Let me
Yes.
finish.
Quote it.
Let me finish.
Yes.
Then you and I have a sit down.
Yes.
And I said to you, you seem really upset when you see the things that happen and the attacks on the EFF because you say they fall on your head, and you agreed.
Yes.
And you spoke about the impact of anything that goes wrong. It is pointed directly at Julius Malema. Surely one expects you to have a similar perspective on family.
Yes.
If your family, which has the right to do business, you're correct, steps out of turn, is attached to anything like VBS where they are said to have stolen from Bukoko, surely, as Julius Malema, who said what he said to me last year, you have the same mindset and have the right to go back to your family and go like, guys, don't do that, lang compromise.
No. My brothers, let's take Tsepo for instance, is a former national leader of the YCL. Politically conscious and knows what is wrong and what is right. He knows that he has to engage in business in an ethical manner. They are old enough to know that. And if they do not comply with the laws of South Africa, they must know they will be arrested, they will be sent to jail, and there's nothing I can do. So from where I am, my brothers have done nothing wrong. And where they've done anything wrong, they've always been held accountable. So many of them have been to SARS inquiries, by the way. Many of them have been subjected to assessment by SARS. Many of them have been questioned by the Hawks. So, in their own right, without my involvement, I can't say to them, don't get involved in business. I can say to them, don't engage in corrupt activities. The same way I will say to you, Samkel, be ethical journalists, do not take brown envelopes. That's all I can say. But I'm not going to have a brother who's a journalist and then say to him, no, you can't be a journalist because journalist takes brown envelopes. And he will say to me, but I'm a different one. I'm ethical, and I know that by virtue of being your cousin, you may be implicated. In my family, we don't have a history of criminals. No one has ever engaged in criminal activities. They are very handsome boys, majority of them engaged in clean business, and they are doing very well for themselves. And I want to encourage them to do more and empower more other young people.
If you could give me a few minutes, Julius.
Yeah, sure.
So I just want to be quite clear. So you are stating categorically that you have never enjoyed any of the money that was taken from, looted from VBS.
Matlatse, you've got the platform, put it to me. That's my vision.
I am asking you.
That's my vision. I've never benefited any cent from VBS. And why would I benefit from VBS in exchange for what?
Okay, so
if this is the vision I present and you refuse to accept it, present your vision.
I just want us to be quite clear. So
Yes.
Julius. All right. Now you're saying that this credit card that Polly in her investigation has shown that it has followed you around.
Yes.
Did you at any point benefit from the use of that credit card by simply the fact that this is your cousin, brother who is with you and might have bought something for you?
Well, I wouldn't know if he used the credit card. He won't say to me, Buti, I'm now going to swipe a VBS card or Mauna card or anything. So if I'm sitting with him, one of the instances Polly mentions in Seychelles, that we went to Nimi's Chisanyam. So I will go sit there with them, and then when I leave, they pay.
Okay.
So I wouldn't know how they paid and all of that.
So they
But
did
now you
pay
do,
for things
Julius.
for
What I'm saying is that now you do know that there was money that was taken from VBS.
Not by my cousin. My cousin has never used any VBS money.
But Mr. Malema, there's a proven payment from Skameka,
Yes.
which received a payment from VBS
So
into Mahuna.
So Skamega is VBS according to
No,
you.
no, but the
money, the
moved.
source of the money is VBS. It moved from VBS, Vela, to Skameka, to Mahuna. The very same Mahuna that in the middle of a fuel contract in Tshwane, just in the middle of the adjudication of the tenders, had been receiving monies the day before, on the day of the tender of the adjudication, or that is Mahuna, and after the adjudication of that particular tender in Tshwane. So this Mahuna, wherever the EFF is co-governing, whether it be Joburg, Tshwane, now in the issue allegations of corruption in VBS, it's there. And this company is linked to who? To you through your brother or cousin.
You know, you just did a very brilliant work for me. Because you say that card is VBS card, but at the same time you say there was money that came from a company that does work in Tshwane, a company that does work in Joburg, a company that does work in agriculture department. So it's not a VBS money. It's a money that belongs to Mahuna.
Part of that money was from
Now your
VBS.
new question is part of the money
No,
now.
I'm saying to you, Julius, so there is some benefit and
But you
directly-
keep on
Let me
shifting
finish.
the
I want
goalpost.
to finish my question
Yes,
as I was
you
putting
keep on
it.
shifting the goalpost. Your colleague answered you. The same card has got businesses in different entities. It's not receiving money only from Skameka.
Mr. Malema,
Julius-
Mr. Malema, no, stop misquoting things. For instance,
Misquoting who?
Let me give you a classical example. This particular company, fuel company in Tshwane,
Yeah.
the tender is advertised on the 19th of June 2018. On the 5th of July 2018 is a full tender compulsory briefing.
Yeah.
On the 6th of July, Mafuna Investments from this particular company that is tendering to get this contract, tendering, hasn't gotten the contract yet, pays an amount of 250,000 rands to Mahuna Investments. What is Mahuna providing to this particular company that is bidding in Tshwane and is linked to your cousin? And the day after, a particular payment of, when the tender closes, R1 million payment is made to DDM Media and Entertainment, which is linked to the Secretary General of the economic freedom fighters, Marshal Dlamini. On the 27th of July, a further 500,000 rands is deposited into this Mahuna Investments from this company that is tendering to get this contract in Tshwane, which was set aside yesterday at the North Gauteng High Court.
Yes.
What is the relationship?
The relationship is that the company is doing business with other companies.
What kind of business is
It's
this
not
Mahuna doing there?
It's not doing business. It's not only receiving money from Sgamega. I'm happy that point you have clarified it so well for me. The company is involved in different types of businesses, be it consulting, be it entertainment, be it events, be it accommodation, hospitality. It does different types of things. It did business with the company that got fuel tender in Tshwane. But we were not controlling Tshwane. We didn't have any, you see, Samkelo, the best journalism would be, Malema, you got 500,000 into Mahuna, and then you went to speak to the municipal manager. Municipal manager spoke to the chair of the bidding committee, and then the adjudicating committee. Therefore, this company got a tender. You cannot just throw an allegation and say, yeah, they gave you a bribe, and then they got a tender. How did we influence it? The mayor is a DA mayor. The administrators are appointed by the DA. In the same tender, Samkelo, do further investigation. Amabungani then comes later to say, no, actually this guy has got a cousin who sits in the bid committees there. It looks like it's the one who gives him tenders. But the reality of the situation is that that company you are talking about did business in Tshwane long before the existence of the EFF. They didn't start doing business in Tshwane because of the EFF. But the EFF never controlled the tenders, the process, the senior managers of Tshwane. So, Matlatsi, the money my brother uses is not the money of VBS. It's the money of his company that comes from all types of sources.
Including VBS.
Including Sgamega. He has never received money
Including
from...
Sgamega
Yes.
from VBS.
No, you can...
My question was going to be, Julius.
The reality is that my brother
Yeah.
and me, you can say all you want to say. We don't have any dealings with VBS. We don't have. And you cannot present any evidence sitting here, and I allow you to do it, that suggests my brother gets this money from Sgamega because he did the following work for VBS, or I did that. No, people are going to be arrested now, Matlatsi. Watch the space. CFOs, municipal managers, mayors, and some politicians in the ANC. I want to tell you now that if there is any municipality that can say, we put money into the VBS because Malema said we must do that, I will resign all the positions of the EFF without any hesitation.
Mr. Malema, stop deflecting.
I'm not deflecting, unless you don't know the concept of deflecting.
Wait. This can't be your show.
Then say it in suit.
It can't be your show. We need to, let's engage.
It's my show.
No,
I'm the
it's
one
not
who's
your show.
answering
We are
questions.
here for an engagement. If it's your show, we're going to walk out.
Don't threaten because you don't
I'm
have
not threatening
facts.
you. That's a
Okay,
fact.
You are threatening.
Oh my
issue.
God.
You don't have issues. You
Something
are
very
threatening.
serious.
You ran out of issues.
Mr.
Hey, but now you ran out of issues.
Okay.
Now you want to go. The door is open. If you're exhausted your
Malema.
issues, you can go.
Mr. Malema.
You don't know what deflection means. We're still on VBS.
Mr. Malema, these payments, is it not suspicious to you that this particular company in Tshwane that is bidding for this contract is making payments to DDM Entertainment of Marshal Dlamini, the SG, and also making payments without you clarifying what sort of business they are doing to this particular BTT fuel company or trading company that got this contract that has been nullified by the North Gauteng High Court? Why are they making payments to Mahuna and to DDM and later on to Slankatara of investments, which is also linked to you? Is it not suspicious to you?
No, it's not at all. But the boys are working. It's business to business
What
relationship.
kind of business are they doing?
I've explained to you. I said consultancy, hospitality, management, events, all types of events. So I wouldn't want to go and answer details of what the boys are doing with the company in question.
Are you not concerned that you have companies?
No, I'm
of
concerned. I asked
people
them.
close to you
I
are
asked them.
implicated
That's
in
why,
so many things.
That's why I asked them. No, not in so many things.
okay, in
Yeah,
the few things that
yeah.
have been
No,
maybe
finish your
not so
sentence.
many.
So you asked them,
I
you
asked them.
You
I
asked
asked, and they explained. They explained everything that, specifically with the companies that are exposed. I may not know other things, but I will ask them, what's happening here? What is the story here? They will be able to say to, Chief, these people who are involved with them on this project, which has got nothing to do with Tshwane. So let's take Joburg, for instance, Matlatsi, on the fleet management company. The boys are engaged with that company on agricultural projects in Limpopo, which was way before the fleet. They don't control what that guy does, but they've had subcontract with him in Limpopo in the agriculture department. But because they paid each other those monies there, now they want to expose this guy of fleet. They say, no, he paid a bribe to Julius. Even when contracts are shown and invoices, it's still not enough.
My next question to you would be, so
Aldrin, the
sorry.
discussion goes like this. No, you just talk.
must jump
It's
in,
a conversation. Yeah. Welcome.
But you see, my problem is with what's currently happening is that we are not really the lead reporters
Not
on
investigative
VBS, you
reporters
see?
in politics,
That is the issue number one. So
Yeah.
Polly van Wyk isn't here, and Polly isn't here to give us whatever
Yeah.
receipts and so
Kyle
forth.
wasn't allowed
So
here.
it's very difficult to have
No,
this
but you
conversation.
can't say that. You see, now you are being mischievous.
I'm not being mischievous.
No,
it's
you
a
aren't
fact,
being.
Brianni.
No, you are being mischievous.
It's a fact,
Because-
Julius.
No.
Kyle was not allowed.
Kyle was not invited. 1, 2. When I entered here, I said to Vuyani, if there is a Sunday Times journalist outside,
doesn't work for
who's
Sunday
here,
Times.
I don't know who's that person. I said to
It's
them,
okay, it's
if there is
okay.
a journalist, you said Sunday Times when I said yeah, and I said to you, if there is already a journalist here, even if he's not invited, Vuyani, allow that person. I said that. Now, when you create an impression that we blocked people here, you are being mischievous.
This is a conversation from last night, Julius. It's not
I don't
from
want
today.
us to be sidetracked because we are where we are, but I think Aldrin raises an important point. So we are political reporters by our very nature, and we are asking questions that we have based on investigations that our colleagues in
Absolutely.
the industry have done. And I'm hoping this is just the beginning. You've opened yourself up to be asked questions. I don't think it's an interrogation. I think it's about
No, for
part
me,
of accountability.
Matlatsi,
and that's
I'm
what
the one
leaders do.
who asked for this.
Yes.
For me, it's an interrogation.
No, it's not. I see it as
No, for me,
accountability.
I wanted to be
Julius, also,
interrogated.
just let me just finish, Samkela, let me just.
I don't want
So,
prosecutors who walk out. I want to
Aldrin
be.
able to ask his
I want to
question.
be.
But the second part
Cry
of
foul.
it,
No, I don't want
but
that.
the second part of it, which is something I would have raised at the end, but I'm going to use
sure.
this opportunity, is that Julius, in the past, you have banned the very reporters who have been very critical of you. I'm hoping after this conversation, you will officially announce that all of those publications are no longer banned, and do actually apologize
We
for
can't.
some of
We
the
can't do
personal
it.
attacks that you have
We
put
can't.
to them.
We can't.
Because they need to be able to do the investigation,
No.
and you need to be able to allow them this opportunity that they ask you questions. You cannot ban people simply on the basis that they are critical of you or you don't
No,
like
they are
the
not
way
critical.
they are
They are
reporting
criminals.
of you.
They are criminals masquerading as journalists.
No,
But the
They are.
conversation always goes back to why
They
not
are.
take recourse
They are.
beyond banning.
you've got recourse.
I mean,
you can go to the press ombudsman, you can go to the PCCSA.
No, I don't trust those things. I told you, Matlatsi, about Ranjeni. I told you. What's happening today about Ranjeni?
But Julius,
I told you this person is not a journalist.
this is the very same journalist you opened up to when Mama Winnie passed away. The most emotional part
It
for you,
doesn't matter.
you recognize the fact that she's a journalist
but
and
I
you opened
told
up
you.
to her. And then when you were not happy with her reports, you decided to brand her as a non-journalist. We see her, she was hired by the Sunday Times as a reporter. You cannot have a space to decide who
Okay.
is a journalist.
Now
and
that-
who
no,
isn't.
but okay.
That I think is
Then
quite
you,
needs
okay,
to be quite
Matlatsi, you must
clear.
continue to be a journalist even when you receive money from Secret Service.
No.
I must-
and
I
that
must-
is
I must-
under investigation, and she's being investigated
So if
for
you
it.
treat-
But
if-
you cannot.
but
You
if-
at the
if-
time
if
that
you
you
treat her
banned her
like
as a
that-
reporter, this allegation was not there at the time.
If you treat it like that there are investigations, therefore everyone else, when there are allegations, treat them the same. Why do you want to conclude that we are guilty and she's not guilty?
No, but
when
Julius,
she's
you
found
move-
wanting
you-
with Secret
you shift
Service
the
money?
goalposts. You shift the goalposts. At one point, you recognize her as a journalist.
No.
At the next point, you don't.
But
And that is
once
what
I
you
come
do.
across like you are a journalist today. Wait until I find.
Today.
Wait until I find your brown envelope. Then I will know you are masquerading as a journalist. You are not necessarily a journalist.
But Julius, as a
So I
member
cannot
of
continue
parliament,
to say you are a journalist, even when I've got evidence of
As a
you
member of parliament-
engaged in brown envelopes.
as a member of parliament, as somebody who takes oath to protect the constitution of this country, you cannot go around banning journalists because you don't like the news reports
I
that they
don't-
write,
no.
especially about you.
I don't-
That is not correct.
I don't
Julius.
ban journalists,
And I
you
think
know that.
For me,
I'm with journalists now. I don't ban
but
journalists.
you can't, the same, what I'm arguing is that if you look at the list of journalists that
don't-
you have
I
been
don't ban
critical
journalists,
of,
Matlazi.
are journalists
I
that
ban-
have written
I
critically
ban
about
criminals
you.
who use journalism
who are
to
criminals?
further political agendas.
I will defend
That's
my
a political
colleagues
act.
because at no point have they been proven to be criminals.
But I will
To have
also,
done a
I will
criminal
also,
offense
I will
is
also
what you would be called a
defend
criminal.
journalism, which is destroyed by brown envelopes.
Where-
I've got a responsibility as a member of parliament to protect the profession of journalism.
And you can sit and have that conversation with them and do this that you have done today. Where in front of the cameras, you
I told
question them
you-
on the work that
I
they're
told
doing
you
and they will
amongst
welcome
your
it.
people, they receive brown envelopes. You said I ill-treat them. I just gave you evidence now.
No.
The second evidence is that Polly is not interested in finding anyone guilty. That's the point I was going to make at the end as well.
Julius, you might
But
not want to
the
use
campaign-
the agents.
Eh?
Hold on, sorry guys. You might not want to use the platforms Matlazi mentioned for recourse, but surely was it the EFF that wanted to
No,
sue
this
Prince
one,
Mashele?
I told her that she must organize the meeting after the elections to meet and engage on what she's talking about. We said to them, after we're too
organize
busy
Matlazi?
elections, after elections, let's talk. And then now she's hijacking the platforms to address her presidential issues.
Mr. Malema, before I hand over to my
Sure.
colleague Eldrin, just a simple and a direct question to you.
Yeah,
Are you currently being investigated by the Hawks for anything related
Nothing.
either to VBS or anything
nothing.
else?
I'm not being investigated by the Hawks on anything. On anything. I'm not being investigated by SARS on anything.
Was
My
Floyd
crit-
asked to deposit a statement at any point?
I don't know Floyd, but he would have told me. If the Hawks make contact with him, he would have told me. So Floyd has not been asked by anyone to make any statement. So Samkel, when I make a political point, right, it's not informed by my personal experiences. Because when I criticize the president, they say, no, he's being investigated by the Hawks. Not a single Hawks person ever gave me a call for anything. Nothing.
Sorry, Julius, just hold on. As your two-pronged question.
Yeah.
First, Shivambu being your second in command.
Aldrin has just arrived, he must get chances.
you know-
You'll get
Yeah,
chances,
but guys-
Kawara. You'll get in there. So the briefing happens. You're upset because your name keeps coming up, even though you're not one of the arrested and the likes. You don't say to Floyd, "Hey, why are they bringing me up? Have you got a? Why don't you check with them?"
No, I talked to Floyd.
Let me finish. I'm not done. I've got another question. It almost speaks to the issue of donations. You know, in 2018, when you had the media briefing here about VBS, and you asked whether or not EFF received donations, you said no. And my question is, have you gone back to the genesis of each donation given to the EFF to check? Because you see, the ANC, then months after the fact, was like, actually, we've tracked and traced and we realized that we did get VBS money. Has the EFF actually gone backwards to check?
And that's part of the reason I think CBS was also invited, because you had promised to open up your books.
No, Matlazi and CD, there is no donation from VBS.
You've checked.
Yeah, and your champion, Polly, would have actually exposed that donation by now, because she works with a guy in Verksman who are busy investigating, who are working with the liquidators, by the way. That's where she gets the information. If there was any donation to the EFF, Polly would have exposed it. Now, the story is, CD, Brian has been in constant interaction with the liquidators. They've called him several times to clarify certain things. Amongst those things was the bond which they got for their mother. A bond that many other people, including some, by the way, in the Hawks, got the same bond from VBS. So, and they clarified those issues. They've started paying off the bond. From time to time, Floyd's brother gets called by liquidators who are liquidating Vele as one of the people who are dealing with Vele, and he's cooperating. That's what Floyd tells me. They are working very well to resolve whatever the differences they might have. In that case, not a single brother of mine has ever been called by a liquidator or by the Hawks or by anyone.
Okay, guys, can I go ahead?
Enter.
Yeah, Julius ukufika late.
No problem, Baba.
So with all of these allegations, one has to admit, though, that the VBS scandal has had a dent on the image of the EFF, whether it is credible information or not. Do you agree to that?
That was the intention.
That was
That
the
has always been the intention.
Sure.
So let me take you back. When they said Malema collapsed Limpopo, the intention was to dent his image. 50 million tender to collapse a province of 47 billion. The intention is always, which is Praveen's operation, discredit your opponents and leave them out there. So the aim is not to arrive at any conviction. The aim is not to take you through trial. No, they just smear you and leave you out there. Because before you came, I said, in Limpopo's collapse, allegations and charging of On Point and us, I said separate me and trial me alone. Because since you charged me, I've never asked for postponement. Because I see charging as another method to hold people accountable, to give you an opportunity to give your side of the story. I've never, from all of you sitting here, received credit about that. Or Malema asked to be separated and trialed speedily.
Okay.
So Praveen again comes with this. The Communist Party got money in the VBS. The Hawks people got money in the VBS, bonds. The Communist Party, ANC in Limpopo, ANC National got money in the VBS. But today, they don't carry that dark cloud of VBS. It is carried by us because the intention is to discredit us.
Okay, so even if you call it a propaganda machine, it
Yes.
has worked, right? It has worked because now VBS has become synonymous to EFF.
Yes.
What has the EFF done internally, one of its structures, to investigate what has happened with VBS and why the party is linked to VBS?
No, we are linked to the VBS because the brother of Floyd.
No, what has the party done? What has the party done? Has the party had its
We
own
have done
internal
our own investigations.
Sorry?
We've done our own investigations. Yeah, and our investigation reveals that we're linked to this because of Skamega, which was reported in Terry's report as Skamega, in brackets, Brian Shibam. But other companies were not mentioned like that. The intention has always been very clear from the beginning. Others are mentioned as companies, but Skamega was mentioned as a company with the name of Shibambo so that there can be a link and delegitimize the voice of the EFF in the battle against corruption. The government of today...
Is there a report to that effect?
Come again?
Is there an internal report to that effect from the
No,
EFF
there's
side?
no internal report.
But why not?
The deputy president was asked to give his side of the story, and he gave his side of the story in the meeting, and I was asked to give the side of the story. I gave my side of the story. The matter was deliberated, and the organization came to a conclusion that the intention has been very clear from the beginning to attack.
I'll give you an example. So-
Where is the report to that effect?
No, there was no commission of inquiry.
But you see,
We, if you, CD will know, we said at the beginning, we asked the deputy president to take the organization into confidence, which he did.
okay.
Hold on.
So there is no report, but there were questions that were asked. And we all agree now that the VBS scandal has been one of those huge scandals that has dented the image of the EFF.
Yes.
Yet the EFF has no internal report or document to support its case.
No. There was no commission of inquiry. There was a
So-
political diagnosis
Yeah.
of the crisis.
And
We're
maybe
not
that's
run.
the problem, though, Julius.
Eh?
Yeah.
And maybe that's the issue, you know?
What issue?
You say there's a political diagnosis of the problem.
Yes.
part of the issue that's been pointed out today is that as we sit before you, we are political journalists, right?
Yes.
That the people who should be interrogating you, in essence, should be those who've dug through the forensic evidence behind the VBS story. Now, as a party, what you're putting to us is that you handle it pretty much the same way as you're handling this, and maybe that's where the gap is, you know? As opposed to hearing each other's side of the story, maybe do the digging, you know? When we ask you about donations to EFF, for instance, you say there were no donations. Are you basing that on having gone through the books? Because that might have been reflected in a report, or is it because you said to each other, well, actually there were no donations?
No, the Treasurer General was asked to go and look into EFF bank statements to check if there were donations from VBS. And her report was clear, there are no donations from the VBS.
No, but at this moment, what we are able to establish is that there were people or companies that got money from VBS that could have donated to the EFF. I think the question rather is, do you not think it was worthy to even appoint an external person, an auditor, auditing company to say, you know what, as an organization that is here championing for the poor and actually fighting against corruption, we want an audit into our books to check if anyway people that could have been linked to VBS, who could have benefited from the looting of VBS, had donated to EFF. And then you're able to sit there confidently and say, some reputable audit company has gone through our books and we can openly declare that there was actually no money. That would have some credence, actually, and it will at least give you some credibility, as opposed to a political gathering of peers defending an organization as you would and saying that there was no beneficiation. And I think that is where we
No.
What are you
There ought
disputing?
to be, no. There ought to be a prima facie evidence. You don't just wake up and spend money, and the money we do not have. There ought to be a prima facie evidence,
The
which
credibility-
necessitate the commissioning of an audit company to specifically look into what you are talking about. There isn't any prima facie evidence in the EFF of any wrongdoing. So, and the EFF, by the way, gets audited every year. Its books have been audited and approved. Some of those books, we account for them in Parliament and we account them at the IEC. We cannot be set a political agenda by Polly van Wyk.
It's not just
No, it's Polly.
no. That's you're personalizing.
No, you have you have personalized it because I'm sitting with all of you here. You are unable to produce any evidence.
That's why it
that
wasn't based on
suggests-
political
And
journalism.
look,
No.
we were very
That
clear to you
excuse,
that we are
actually, let me
political
deal with that excuse because it's so lame. It's so lame. I said to Samkel, put up a team, suggested the names, and I said to him, any critical journalist is more than welcome. Don't create an impression that we closed out investigative journalists. Samkel was given a task. He could have brought any journalist he wanted to bring. So we are here with you. You are here now. And stop giving excuses of
Can I just
people
ask a quick
that you had the right to bring here and you didn't bring them here.
Mr. Malema, no.
Okay.
Let me address you directly now.
It's really...
On this issue, because we are degenerating, honestly. On this issue, we are not prosecutors. We are not investigative journalists. We are not here to trial you. We are here to have a conversation with you. So please, stop personalizing the issue and answer honestly, and let's not...
But how am I personalizing? You are being emotional.
No, I'm not being emotional.
No, you are.
I'm not being emotional, Mr. Malema. All I am asking, let's have a cordial, civil conversation. Let's not say it's a lame excuse or it's not. Yes, indeed, you are not investigative
It's a lame
journalists.
excuse.
Okay, fine. It's a lame
It
excuse
is.
to you. Let's
Because
move on.
I said you can invite anyone. I said that. And after I spoke to you, Vuyani, I said you can invite anyone. So you don't bring investigative journalists here and you want to pin it on me. I said anyone who's critical.
Okay,
Mr. Malema, there is a ban.
Listen, Buffett, we're going
There's
to
a what?
continuously go back to this issue about reporters who are not here and reporters who are
No,
here.
but if
We
you
are
knew,
here now.
Aldrian, if you knew, and including Tsidi, if you knew you are not qualified, what are you doing here? Because you could have said, sorry, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Let me bring a credible investigative journalist.
Okay, sure, we are here now.
I gave you all the power to bring anyone.
We are here now.
Yeah.
My take on this is that I won't be focusing on Polly van Wyk's investigation because I can't corroborate that evidence. However, though, based on common cause is that you have an EFF member who was implicated in the VBS scandal, right?
Yeah.
Yes. What have you done since then as a party? Have you investigated that individual?
No, it's not our duty. We can't investigate members.
You can't.
If you are saying leaders,
Okay.
yeah, members.
Okay.
A member.
Yeah.
If a branch of the EFF wants to investigate that member, they can do it. But if you are saying leaders of the EFF, it is at this level. Can you imagine what we'll be doing to investigate every member of the EFF every time there is an allegation?
But you want to
this
be
is
a
not-
clean
but-
party.
We are a clean party.
Then you would be
This
able to
is-
say,
We-
this
no,
region, can you
we are a
investigate?
clean
Sorry,
party.
guys.
We have never been found guilty of any wrongdoing, not
That
mentioned
must
in
be
any
Maxine now,
report.
Maxine Walters. My time.
Sure.
The point is that you have a member who's implicated in the VBS scandal, and you as a party again decide not to investigate. However, though, that member would have signed a membership form of the party, which states clearly that you must defend the African revolutionary tradition against all forms of tendencies that promote hatred, division, underdevelopment, corruption, and social discourse. Now you have this member that has signed this particular membership form with this contract, and you're telling us that you're not going to investigate that member because it is just a member, he's not an executive of the party.
No. We're not going to do that. We are not going to do that. When our deputy president was mentioned, leadership asked him to take us into confidence. It is at our level. Yeah, there are levels in the organization. So Brian Shibambo is not going to be elevated to this level.
But that's the same.
No, if he violates
Brian Shivambu that has brought this organization into
It's not
this
Brian
by
Shivambu.
by mere
No.
mention of his name.
No.
Okay, let
It's
me ask you this.
It's not him.
If Brian Shivambu was not mentioned in the VBS report, do you think that you would have been here? Do you think that you would have had this gathering here?
No, there would have been something else.
There would have been something.
Yeah, there would have been something else
However,
because
though,
there is an agenda all the time
Yes.
to discredit us. So whether it's Brian Shibambo or not, they would have something. They would have used something in the same way they try to found condoms. They would have used something to try and discredit us.
Julius, you once offered us a chance to look at your books. Does that offer still stand?
Absolutely.
Okay, fantastic. That's when I'll bring them.
So no investigation
But
from the
secondly,
party side of its members.
Hey, Aldrin, when a member makes a mistake or violates the
This
code
is
of
not-
conduct,
But this is not a mistake.
but I'm answering you,
But
is
no,
violate
but-
is
but this
is
is not a mistake.
Yeah,
You're speaking
it's in
about-
violation of the code of conduct.
Yes.
A member shall be charged at his level. Don't only read the oath.
Sure.
Read the code of conduct of the EFF.
Has that happened?
No.
As the leader of the party?
No, that has
Do
not
you
happened.
think it
I've answered you.
necessitates? Do you think it necessitates an investigation into this particular individual?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't necessitate.
No.
Even though we have this entire
There's
gathering here
nothing.
based on one report.
No, there's nothing.
There's nothing.
There's nothing.
So each and every EFF member can do what they want to do, even be incriminated in allegations of
No, once
corruption,
there
and
is
the
a
party
prima-
will not investigate.
Once there is a prima facie evidence of any wrongdoing,
The prima
party-
facie evidence is the report, the
is-
same report that he said that he's going to go and challenge. Has he
No,
challenged that report?
but that report is not implicating him in any in criminal activities. He engaged in transactions with Vele, and those transactions are now under scrutiny by the liquidator, and the young man is cooperating with the liquidation. That's all. And that's not criminal. It might be an administrative error, which people might
But
say
it's an
this money
administrative
was
error
not
that's
justifiable.
being challenged. It's an administrative error that's not being challenged. So you're
No,
coming up,
but he's
so you're
being
coming up
challenged
with-
because the liquidators are busy with him. And if there is any wrongdoing,
he told
the
you-
liquidators will hold him accountable.
He told you.
Who?
That he told you, right? He
no, I
he
was
told
told by the
his
deputy
brother.
president,
Sorry,
yeah.
it's the brother.
Yeah.
That he will be challenging the report. What has happened since?
I've never said to you will be challenging the report.
No. I'm saying now he's told his brother, right, who's your deputy. What has happened since?
I've never said to you, I don't know, I've never spoken to
I'm
Floyd about...
saying again.
I've never spoken to Floyd about challenging the report. All I've spoken to Floyd about is what's happening with regard to his brother in relation to these matters. And he told me he has been working with the liquidators from time to time. He has been called to the hearings, and some of the matters they are finding a conclusion on those matters. So I don't want to get involved in, because I'm not involved at that level.
Okay, so you believe even the lower structure has no need to investigate him?
If they see the need, they've got all the freedom to do it.
But I'm
Okay, but-
sorry, Eldon. Sorry, both of you. I'm struggling with your attitude around that. For me, you say that all of this is being used to target your party. If it wasn't, this would be something else. But you seem almost lackadaisical about how it's happening. Like, oh, it's not for me to deal with. But it taints the party, and ultimately, you say that taints you.
No,
Surely.
there's no way. It doesn't matter, TD. We're dealing with a gangster here, which has operated from the 80s. Its role is to identify its political opponents and discredit them. That's how Pravin has operated.
No, but Praveen,
But you've got this wealth
No,
of
but what I
information.
say, well, Pravin, the Terry report served before Pravin, before it came out. There are names which were removed there. What do you mean? Why have you never taken task with the donation to the Communist Party? And why that donation is today not an issue? Why are you not taking an issue with the Youth League leaders who had finances from VBS, and those leaders were advised before, get other banks to buy your debt from VBS so that you are not in this report? What do you mean?
I don't have.
No, but you
details.
came across as if you know Pravin has got nothing to do
No,
with
I
this.
didn't. I was just surprised by the leap between people asking you and how you are handling matters internally in your
No,
party.
I know what,
then
and I'm saying to you,
jumping
I know what
a
I'm
Praveen
dealing with.
matter.
I know what I'm dealing with. So, the Pravin's operation has always been that you discredit, even if you don't achieve conviction, it's okay.
But also equally so, you could also take what is within your power to remove the allegations around you.
That's
if
what
other
I'm doing.
people are doing.
What is
I
within my
think-
power is politics. It's a political battle which I'm prepared to fight, and I'm doing exactly that.
Julius, in hindsight, when you look at the whole VBS matter, right, and just what happened to the poor people, I mean, all of the time when I think VBS, the one picture that comes to mind is the hundreds of old people that were queuing outside in the freezing cold, just trying to get what little they could get from them. And when you look back in terms of this saga, how do you describe it as the looting of that bank and its impact on the poor people and taking away this pride of the vendor people, really, that has been there?
We wanted to defend the pride of the vendor people by demanding that the bank must not be closed. It has got a historical role, and it's very important that we protect it. 2, we said on record, arrest those that have stolen the money from those gogos who were queuing. Arrest them. That's number 2. 3, recover every little cent you can recover and pay back the depositors. So at the priority of those depositors, it must be individual gogos who have put money into that thing. The liquidator's role is to do exactly that. And we have been very supportive, and I'm happy that Brian has been very cooperative, because some of the things, if they do not make sense, and that's what I told the Deputy President, if they do not make sense, if there is an opportunity to pay back those issues, those monies, please pay back that money.
Including if Brian is proven to have benefited, should be able to pay back that money.
No, I'm saying if the money was unduly paid to Brian,
Yes.
that money must be paid back. And not only Brian, everyone, including the Communist Party, including the ANC. The ANC has confessed to you that they've received money from VBS. Why don't you demand the deposit slip where they paid back the money? You never asked for that.
And we should, and you're right, we should. But I'm just saying, Julius, now knowing what you know, can you confidently say that when Floyd was sending that SMS to the former Minister of Finance, Nene, he was not trying to protect the corruption that was in them?
It's a position of
know-
the
can
EFF.
you-
I
can-
know the SMS. I know the
Was
SMS.
it done in your instruction?
It was done in the instructions of the EFF. We took a decision, please, if this bank, I actually leave Floyd, I told the president myself, I said, President, if there
Cyril,
is,
President
yes,
Cyril Ramaphosa.
yes, I said to the president, if there is anything we can do to save this bank, let's save it because it will be another black failure. Let's try and find a way.
But it is a failure.
But it doesn't mean we cannot prosecute the culprits. There, it's non-negotiable. But to see the Bank of the Bavenda King going down, and we call ourselves democracy and we can't defend what our grannies established during difficult times, we must be ashamed of ourselves. I had this discussion with the president, myself, and I said, let's save the bank. And I said to the president, if impose the collapse of the bank, I said, if there could be any other opportunity of formulating another bank that works along the same principles of VBS, let's do that for the people of Venda and use this experience to tighten the regulations. But let me tell you, Matats, one thing. A friend of mine who is a shareholder in VBS wrote a letter to FSB and to PIC about the corruption that was going on in VBS. He was dismissed by FSB. He was dismissed by PIC in 2016. He came to me complaining that there is this bank, I'm a shareholder there is corruption. I said, Chief, do what you have to do. He engaged them. 2 institutions, including the Reserve Bank, was made aware that there is shenanigans going on. They didn't do anything about it.
I need to leave, but my last question.
And then Matlatsi, you'll come here and say, no, we spoke the way we spoke because we were defending some people who are benefiting. No.
We have to ask you the question.
I know.
That's why we're asking you.
We engaged with that battle in 2016, where letters were written to authorities and no action was taken, by the way.
Okay.
In Limpopo,
Can I
there
raise
is a
different
perception
point? Yeah.
that you
Okay.
are using your brothers and your cousins to do the bidding for you. So you are no longer doing the on-point method of you being a shareholder in those companies, but they are the people doing the bidding, and you are using your political influence to ensure that they get the tenders, whether it is in municipalities where you're a kingmaker or where you have some connection or the other. I am putting the question to you.
In Limpopo, there are 2 municipalities that are...
Or even in...
now you are shifting the
No, I'm
goalposts.
saying
You said
in
in
the
Limpopo.
perception
Let's
is,
deal.
but obviously...
So let's deal with Limpopo. In Limpopo, there are 2 hung municipalities, right? And both of them are bankrupt. The reason why the ANC lost is because they ran down those municipalities. That is Mogopo, Modimolle, and that is Tabazimbi. You can go and check there. None of my cousins has got anything there. Secondly, in Limpopo, the government is under the ANC, and that is government that was taken over by people who are hostile to those who were there before them. And why would I have political influence over them? Certain things are simple logic. So outside Limpopo, my brothers have got nothing to do with any of the hung municipalities. No way. My brothers are in business. They have been in business before hung municipalities became fashionable. They've done work, and they still do work. And they don't only do business with government. Some of them are in agriculture. In my family, we've got 700 cattle. We are in cattle farming. 300 sheep, 300 goats. As a family, in Butlokwa, in Muribeng, we've got a farm of 4,000 hectares that we claimed through land claim. So tomorrow, those people are going to sell their cattle. You'll be saying it's Malema's influence. They must live. They have to eat. They have to support their families. I can't support them with parliament money. My family is in business. I've never denied that. And where I've got interest, those trusts are declared in parliament. We are running a business in Limpopo called Mikiti. It's accommodation, it's events, it's alcohol, all types of things there. It's a family business.
Mr. Malema, are you not?
We are involved
Sidi, sorry,
in that.
Sorry, Sidi. What's coming out of all of this is that since your era from Youth League president right up until now, there's always been these allegations hanging over you of fraud, corruption, money laundering, etc., living beyond your means. For instance, in the Youth League, you said you used to earn about 20,000 as the president, but you had all
I
of
never
these
said
assets.
that.
Okay, fine, but you had all of these assets. How do you then remove this cloud of being a corrupt politician that you are saying is a smear campaign of your political opponents? Yet, yes, fair enough, you've never been found guilty by any court of law, which that we must state categorically clear. But how do you get rid of this cloud of being a corrupt politician?
You see, let's go to the Youth League. In the Youth League, I said I earned 20,000. In the Youth League, I earned 45,000 as a president of the Youth League. And then the on point you are talking about is factual, is in the bargaining into bank's pay slip is there. You can ask Matthew Posa. Matthew Posa is actually the one who increased salaries there. That's why the ANC today is even struggling with those salaries. Matthew was paying us properly because he knew how to raise money. So I was earning that money in the Youth League, 1. 2, my family trust was involved in businesses. That's why we're talking on point. We're doing business. So I was not living beyond my means. I was doing business. So let me tell you one story which you don't know, Aldrin. The house in Sundown, which was demolished, right? I was renting that house. And the elders of the ANC who used to frequent my house said to me, Chief, you need to buy this house. We can't have a president of the Youth League buy the house. They put monies together, deposited that money, we bought the house. Then they said, no, we cannot sleep in the house where in the morning we have to pass each other on passages. We need to build a house with in-suits because my house was used as something called a base. So when they are here in Joburg, they will come and be based there because they needed privacy, they felt comfortable around there. So people say, no, Malema bought a house and demolished a house. Yes, it was in my name, but there was monies that we actually, even when we're doing the SARS audit, all of that list was presented to SARS. This one put so much, this one put so much, this one put so much. That's how we bought the house. That's how the house came to be demolished. That's how the house was paid. It didn't come from me. SARS was given that long list. And SARS went to them. And they said these are categorized as donations. They filled in the forms of donations and paid donation tax. Some of them are ministers today. Some of them are reputable businessmen and women today. So that's why I was never charged anywhere that, no, you stole the money here and went to demolish a house and bought a, because I didn't live beyond my means. I could identify every little source of income where it came from.
Okay. So back to another report, the one here on point, the Public Protector's report. So the Public Protector says, as the main source of income on point during this period was payments made to the department in terms of the agreement on point owed its existence as profit-making establishment that could declare regular dividends thereto. The Ratanang Family Trust, as one of the 2 shareholders of Gilder Investments as the holding company, accordingly benefited improperly from unlawful, fraudulent, and corrupt conduct of on point and maladministration of the department. What's your answer to that?
Well, the matter is before the court. As you will know, the NP has taken a decision to charge some of my colleagues, and they will canvass that ground at that point. Nowhere in the Public Protector's report will you find a saying Julius or Ratanang influenced the tender in a corrupt manner. All the findings she makes is that the Ratanang Trust benefited money from this company and this company got a tender wrongly.
Yeah.
Now that company is now before court. I maintain that I've not done anything wrong. That's why they can't charge me. The company maintains its innocence and is going.
Okay. You've never challenged the forensic report either.
Why should I challenge it? It's not it's making any finding on me.
But it has.
I asked Tuli, for instance, I said, I hear you're producing a report But you have never interviewed me. And Tuli said, I don't make any finding against you. And therefore, I don't have anything that warrants me to call you to come and answer. So Tuli never called me.
That's not true. After the preliminary report, a letter was sent to you, and then your lawyers responded to the letter saying that you do not want to be interviewed anymore because of you weren't asked initially before the interim report.
So what is not true, Aldrin? Don't just use concept. You are lying because Tuli released a preliminary report.
She even invited you and said,
no, listen.
"Come."
Tuli released a report.
Yes.
I wrote a letter to Tuli.
Yeah.
And I said to her, why do you release a report and you don't invite me to be questioned? And she said, I make no findings against you and there's no need for me to call you.
Okay.
However, if you want to come, you are more than welcome to come. And then I responded, I said, since you say you're making no findings against me, there's no need for me to come.
Were you the sole trustee of Ratanang?
Yes.
So isn't that a finding against the a trust that you were
But
holding?
what is the finding?
The finding is that the Ratanang Trust, as one of the shareholders of Gilter Investment, as the holding company, accordingly benefited improperly from the unlawful, fraudulent, and corrupt conduct of On-Point and maladministration of the department.
Improperly,
Malema,
improperly does not mean illegal.
Just to,
Unlawful.
No, it doesn't mean
Fraudulent.
unlawful. No, improperly doesn't mean
No,
unlawful.
no, I'm going through the list of the findings. Wait, guys. Unlawful, fraudulent, and corrupt conduct of On-Point. So the point here is that Ratanang benefited unlawfully, fraudulent, and from corrupt conduct of On-Point.
But that's
Is
not
that
what,
the truth?
But that's not what Tuli is saying.
But here it is. This is the report that I'm reading here.
As the main source of income of On-Point during this period was the payment made to it by the department in terms of agreement, and On-Point owed its existence as a profit-making establishment that could declare regular dividends thereto. The Ratanam Family Trust, as one of two shareholders of Gilder Investment, as the holding company, accordingly benefited improperly from unlawful, fraudulent, maladministration, corrupt conduct of On-Point.
Yes.
Not of Ratanang.
Ratanang is a
Ratanang is improperly.
Yes, Ratanang is a beneficiary of money that was gotten from a contract that is illegal and unlawful.
That's why
Do you
it
agree
makes
to
it
that?
improperly.
Do you agree to that?
Yes.
Yes.
It doesn't make it illegal or criminal.
But it's not just improper. It is also the fraudulent part, because the fraudulent
No,
part
but
is
you are
also.
there's no way. We are reading the report here.
I'll come in after this one then.
Sorry? No. Here's the thing, guys.
She makes a ruling that
Yeah.
this tender, this tree, which Ratanang aids the fruits, it's rotten. Therefore, Ratanang ate the fruits of a rotten tree, right? So it's a point now why On-Point is in court to challenge exactly what is being said here.
So
that their tender was not fraudulent, was not corrupt, and all of that. We will wait for that to come out. But nowhere does she say Ratanang fraudulently, in a corrupt manner. That's not what he's saying.
Mr. Malema, my parting shot to you.
Yeah, sure.
For instance, just in collaboration with my colleague Eldrins, there was a state forensic report by Auditor Trevor White that detailed the money flow for your Limpopo farm, which was seized by the state, basically saying the proceeds of that particular farm came from various companies which had received tenders in Limpopo,
Yes.
and those monies were funneled and channeled through On-Point engineers, and later on went into the Ratanang Trust. That property you initially purchased it through the Ratanang Trust, and later to Guama Properties, which was owned by Lisiba Kwangwa.
Yes.
The state in that forensic report basically states that this is evidence of money laundering in that regard, and that was one of the premises which the state was prosecuting you on when it comes to fraud and corruption, and when it comes to the Ratanang Trust. Should the state reinstate charges against you on the issue of corruption in Limpopo, allegations of corruption in Limpopo, have you prepared yourself to answer on how you purchased that particular farm?
But I said that long time ago. Let's deal with that quickly. You see, if we cannot have attitude, we are going to follow proper logic. That report was used to charge Selby and them. And they were trialed in the regional court in Mokopane. They won that case. The state appealed on the same report. The state lost that case. And because that report could not hold water in that case of Selby, which also put money into one of the companies of Gilda Investment, state, because was relying on that, then realized because this report could not hold water in the court, in the lower court and in the appeal, there is no point in pursuing Malema through this report. So that report could not convict Selby, who was charged with me. If you know the case initially, it was us. They were separated, trialed on that report. They were not found guilty, and they even won an appeal. If you had followed the logic of that report, you are not going to ask that question, because that report has been tested in court and could not stand the test of time.
But then, Mr. Malema, in the state's own charge sheet recently of your then co-accused Bolisiba Kwangwa, the state
I don't have any co-accused. I'm not accused.
said back then,
Okay.
Former co-accused.
the state says, I decline to prosecute Mr. Malema at this stage. After finalization of this trial in this matter, the record of proceedings and the credibility findings that the court might have made during the trial, as well as the report of the prosecutor who conducted the trial, will be pursued to determine whether a criminal prosecution should be instituted against Mr. Julius Malema. A separate investigation will immediately be launched regarding his administration of the Ratanang Trust, which keys into Eldrin's question, and a decision will be made thereon after the finalization of this particular investigation, which comes to the question which you are saying, that this particular report which you are referring to, which is the state is evidently still holding on to, and is waiting the outcome of this particular prosecution of on-point engineers on whether to trial you or not. Do you not see similarities here between the case of Shabir Sheikh going on to the case of charging the former President Jacob Zuma? There was a successful prosecution there which led to the then calls for the prosecution of the former President Jacob Zuma. Are you not in a similar fate with the former president?
No, I don't deal with Zuma's case. I deal with mine. There's nothing. There's nothing. Some girl, you know how these people feel about me. They even tell you in corners. You know how they feel about me. If that evidence that you point to was real evidence that could stand the test of time, they would have taken me on by now. Remember, the VBS prosecution, the leading investigators have always been ready to charge. It is alleged that Batoyi has always sent them back because Malema was not on the list of the people who must be prosecuted. So they want me with everything. And I don't, by the way, you must not ask me questions as if I'm the one who decides whether I get charged or not. Mm-hmm. They must charge me if that is the evidence, and you proudly produce it here in the press conference as a strong evidence. Let them use it. They used it to charge me. They couldn't take me on in trial. Even when I said separate me and take me on trial now, they couldn't do it. They can do it anytime soon, my brother. If they make those threats, they can make them. If you propose a woman now and she declines to date you now and say, I will consider the proposal later, it doesn't mean you are dating her.
Okay. Julius, do you still have a relationship with Lisiba Kwangwa?
He's my best friend.
Sorry.
So did you know that your best friend lied about how the organization started, On Point?
No, it's his business, Shema. He will answer that.
No. The On Point company, the one that Ratanang also had shares in via guild investment. He
lied about?
He lied about how long the company had been in existence.
No, but
in the tender application, he said...
Yes, but that is what is in dispute.
Yes.
Okay. That's what, I know that very well.
Yeah.
That is what is in dispute, and he's going to answer that. Okay. Yeah. Because I can't give his defense out.
But as a shareholder, as Ratanang being a shareholder of that company, what's your version? When was
the company was well established?
When?
I may not remember now with the dates and all of that, but Lisiba has got all the details.
Was it on the same year as the
tender?
No,
wait until the trial runs, because I don't want to give away their defense.
No, you're not
You see?
giving away their defense.
No, but that is
You
what
are coming
that is. No, but that is one of the
remember-
charges
No, but remember that you've invited us here to ask you
Yes.
absolutely any question.
about me.
Exactly.
Yes.
So,
So I didn't
Ratanang,
establish any company.
Was Ratanang not an investor or shareholder?
Was a
of
shareholder.
OnPoint?
Is still a shareholder.
It's still a
Yes.
shareholder. Did Ratanang know that the executive, the director at the time, lied or is accused of lying at the time?
We know that he's accused now. We know.
Yes.
Yes.
So do you remember when the company was established?
I may not remember when was Sanlam established, but I'm a shareholder. So I don't remember.
But this one only has 2 shareholders.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm not running the company again.
In Sanlam, at Sanlam, you don't.
But
get
I'm not running the company. I'm a
At
shareholder.
Sanlam, you don't get to be part of executive meetings.
No,
But
no,
with
but
this
I-
one, you were part of
no.
executive meetings.
No. It's not true.
So the report is not true.
It's not true. I'm not part of any executive meeting. Me.
Here at OnPoint,
No.
you were not part of any
No.
meetings.
Even
So
Tuli's
your be-
report
so-
will tell you I'm not part of anything.
So your best friend Gwangwa lied to Tuli.
It is alleged. He's still going to court. He will answer that. So I don't run. I'm not running the administration. Shareholders, you may not know as a journalist, may not be a business person. Shareholders do not run the operations of the company. So Lisiba was a shareholder through his family trust and ran the affairs of the company. So he will answer that in the court. But I may not remember on top of my head the date and the time and the day of when the company was established.
But would you remember more or less that the name of the company actually came about on the same month as the tender going was advertised? Do you remember that?
No, I mean, even when they were tendering, I didn't know. I was not involved.
But then
So I don't know
do
when
you
was the
remember
tender advertised, because they didn't have only one contract. They had all types of contracts. So I wouldn't know, because I was not running the company. I wouldn't know which the tender was advertised when, which one was advertised when. It was not only that tender, by the way. There were many others. So I was a shareholder in the Gilda investment.
Yeah.
And then OnPoint is a subsidiary, is one of the subsidiaries of Gilda Investment. So is OnPoint, is Qualis, is SGL, different types of companies under Gilda Investment where I am a shareholder. So what the subsidiaries are doing and whether they've paid electricity or not, I'm not involved in that space. Whether they bought a tender document or not, I'm not involved in that space.
So you wouldn't know about a meeting that you were allegedly part of that decided how much dividends must go to which company?
A meeting?
Yeah, meetings.
With
Meetings.
no.
Do you remember how you guys were dispersing dividends?
Yeah.
Or how the company used to disperse dividends?
Yeah.
Sure. One of the allegations here in the report as well is that there were no meeting minutes.
No. Me and Lisiba, as people who represented the trust that held shares in Gilda,
Yeah.
will meet and agree that because we are a small company, we can't behave like the big companies where the dividends are declared at the end of the year. We can make projections of what we think we'll make, and on the basis of that, start distributing monthly so that we don't overburden the company at the end of the financial year.
Yeah.
So we did exactly that. And that was not OnPoint's money. It was all the monies brought together of the subsidiaries under Gilda Investment.
So
And
you were
from
part
there-
of an executive meeting.
Not executive, the board members,
The director of the company.
which
Was Gwangwa not the director of the company?
yeah, but he was also a
Yes.
shareholder. He was
Exactly.
representing a shareholder,
Yeah.
a Gwangwa trust.
Yes.
And I was representing Ratanan Trust.
Yes.
At that level of a shareholders meeting, there is a difference between shareholders meeting and management meeting.
Yeah.
That you should have known by now.
Yeah.
So management at Power FM, when it meets, the shareholder may not have to necessarily be there. Yes, so that's what happened. So at that level, we'll talk for all the companies under Gilda Investment and say this year we project with what we have. This is how much we can make at the end of the financial year, and therefore to avoid overburdening the company, let's distribute monthly.
Okay. One of the other allegations is also that the source of income from Ratanang was from OnPoint. That was the sole source of income at the time.
No, it's
Do you
not
agree
true.
to that?
It's not true. I said to you,
Okay, so there are so many allegations that you don't agree to
No,
in
no,
this
we-
report.
we
But
have-
why
we
don't
have-
you challenge this report?
Which
Why
report?
don't you challenge this report?
Which report?
This one. The public protector's one.
No, but it doesn't implicate me.
It implicates Ratanang.
No, it doesn't. There are no findings against Ratana.
It says that Ratanang was a beneficiary of this money.
Yes.
The contract.
Yes, the same way.
The illegal tender.
No. Any money that tender got, right? And you either donated that money to a church or bought in Pick and Pay, they all received the money of the proceeds of crime. Why are you not asking them to also go and challenge that?
Because they didn't invite us here. You
So
invited us here.
so we can't challenge their report because it has got nothing against us.
Okay, so you see again. So you see what happens is that your modus operandi is again that there's no allegations against the EFF with VBS.
Yes.
There's no allegation against you as an individual.
Yes.
So constantly these are the things that come up. However, though, constantly it's your name as well as the party's name in this case that's being tarnished. Yet you don't find it in yourself to go and challenge what is bringing the party down.
No, there's nothing bringing party down. Which party is going down?
Then why
Because
are
this
we
party is
here?
always. No, we're dealing with allegations. You asked people about me in my absence, and I said I'm available. Ask me. So I'm saying to you that there's no party that is going down. Two, there is nothing that implicates us.
So Julius, according
And
to
then
you
Aldrin,
now,
why are people not being arrested? Why are we not being charged? If these things that you are saying are legitimate and correct, why would a company implicated in a report of corruption and fraud not be charged? Why? Why are you not asking yourself that question? Because those charges are not there. Are not there. See?
I wanted to go back to Lisiba Gwangwa. I asked you earlier if you guys were still tight. Julius, what are I don't know if you've heard the same things, but it seems where EFF is in terms of the relationship you had, obviously informal or otherwise, with the DA in Tshwane, and I think they pointed to other areas, Nelson Mandela Bay though, and yes, you can call it gossip, whatever you want to define it as, but there is talk though that in those areas where the EFF is, and that speaks to the issue of influence, I suppose, that Lisiba Gwangwa is there and thriving and doing business in those areas. That'll be, simply put, it's not true.
It's not true.
So in Tshwane, Lisiba Gwangwa is not doing anything.
I don't know, but I don't have anything of Lisiba Gwangwa in Nelson. I agree you said everywhere EFF is involved. Nelson Mandela, Johannesburg, Tshwane. I don't know anything of Lisiba Gwangwa being involved in all those municipalities, including in Limpopo, Hang municipalities. So, but Lisiba Gwangwa is still in business. He still runs his business. So, I don't know what he's still doing, Lisiba Gwangwa, but all I know is that
Though you're best
On
friends.
Point
Yeah.
is no longer trading and therefore makes the Gilder investment redundant. But Lisiba is an engineer and Lisiba is in business. As I speak to you now, Lisiba still does business.
All right. So there's a story Carl did I think last year sometime.
Yeah.
Between your relationship with Lisiba, and it involves On Point Engineering. I just want to run through some of those things that you were speaking about, whether or not Lisiba was behind those purchases, making those payments. So there's an issue around a Mercedes-Benz Viano that you used at the cost of nearly 1 million in 2011. Was that purchased for you by Lisiba?
Viano.
Yeah. Yeah, Mercedes-Benz Viano,
No, but
black one.
they
The
say it
pictures
was-
of you,
It was mine.
that's what they're saying.
No, but I never had those things.
So it wasn't bought and maintained, you never use it, it wasn't paid for by Lisiba?
No, Lisiba had a Viano, but if it was bought for me, it's a story.
Okay. And then they say that he paid for the construction costs of your Sandown mansion as of February 2011.
No, but that was my money. It's my money.
Okay.
I'm a shareholder, I'm entitled to it. Lisiba didn't pay for me, it's my money.
Didn't pay for it.
No, if there is money that came from that company to pay for the Sundown, it's my money.
Okay.
Yes, I was a shareholder, I was entitled to
Of
it.
course, of course.
It's my money.
And then there's the issue of the bodyguards that you had in 2011. Was he paying for your bodyguards?
I never had bodyguards, what do you mean?
You never had protection of sorts in 2011?
No, I had bodyguards from the ANC, and then later I got bodyguards from the States.
Okay.
And then when they expelled me, my guys were distributed in different companies. Some of them went to work for PRASA. Some of them went to work for private individuals and institutions because they were police. And how I was treated, they resigned in protest that this is unfair, and if their job is to protect, and therefore they can continue to work for police who take decisions on the basis of political considerations. So they went into different spaces.
So based on this particular answer, then you're ruling out the fact that he also bought a Ford Focus for them in Polokwane.
No, but if
a
he
Ford
bought Ford
Vivo,
Focus for his staff members, they're his staff members, they're not
But this
mine.
speaks to your guards that you're saying. were
No,
paid for by the ANC.
Lisiba has never bought any guards of mine, anything. Nothing. Why do you buy police Ford Focus? Because police have got a
But this
pool
is based
car.
on an affidavit that wasn't used by the NPA. That's why I'm bringing it to the table. That's what Carl wrote on. That's
Yeah.
all I'm asking for clarity on that.
But Sidi, simply put, Lisiba's money was my money. On Point's money was my money. So if On Point is on trial,
Which explained why they paid for expenses.
I
for
was a
him.
shareholder. I was a shareholder. I was entitled to that money.
Mr. Malema,
And I've never denied that money.
Mr.
One other
Male-
thing, I know earlier you spoke about how you always, your life, we asked about a lifestyle audit, and you're like, you're always being audited. When was the last time SARS actually conducted a lifestyle audit on you?
I don't remember. I guess they do it even illegally. So for sure they are busy now. I don't know.
So legally, okay.
Can we just take questions from the journalists who are not in the room?
No, but some girl wanted to ask anyway,
Yes.
and we'll go online.
Okay, sure.
So essentially you are saying that you've never benefited from ill-gotten money, either from Mahuna, Srankatara, Skameka.
I don't get involved in engage in illegal dealings. I don't. You'll never find my name anywhere. I don't get involved in those things.
But a company that you saying that it was your money is now being trialed.
Yes, I was not involved.
But
That's
you
why
got
my
that
name is
money-
not there.
But you got that money.
Yes,
That
I even
company.
wrote a letter to Asset Forfeiture Unit, by the way. And I said to the Asset Forfeiture Unit, if this proceeds that benefited Ratanang are illegal and you want us to pay them back, we are more than prepared to pay them back.
Because we all agree that benefiting from a crime is a crime in itself.
Yeah, but
Just to clarify.
if the money is rotten, the court is going to run now. I wrote a letter to Asset Forfeiture Unit. I said, I was never involved in any of wrongdoing, but if for some reason this money that came into Ratana can be proven to be illegal money, we are more than prepared to pay it back.
Okay. So, Gilder Investment, how much did you pay for shares in the company?
No, we formed it together.
You formed it together. So, from scratch.
Mm.
So, Gilder Investment would have only had investments, what, in On Point, or is it other different companies?
Qualis, SGL, and I can't remember other small ones on top of my head now.
Sure. Okay. So, on this particular one,
And they did work.
yeah?
They worked.
They worked, sure. Again, one of the allegations that come out here, and I'm basically just asking you
Sure.
these questions because I'm thinking that probably some of the investigators would love to hear this as well, you know?
Yeah, sure.
So one of the other things is the company stated that it has a certain number of employees, and the company has been operational for, I think they said over 9 years, and you said, Uguti, that is under dispute. But there's also the allegation that the company said it was making 2 million rand annually. How would the company be making 2 million rand annually when the company was only established the year that the tender was advertised?
You see, Aldrin, there is a very interesting thing that they are going to explain to the court with regard to the years and the experience of the company. Because they explain as engineers that when you put these different components together, that accumulates
He
into
argues-
a particular years and all
yeah.
of that.
He argues that.
So they
here
are
as
going
well.
to, they are, yeah, so
Yeah, he argues that.
that was the explanation to me.
Yeah, but
So-
then the distinction would be, what about the 2 million rand annual turnover? Because that then gives us the impression that the company has been in existence beyond a year. It cannot be that it is the 9 years that you accumulate of all the experiences that these engineers have, and then you put it together, and then you say it's 9 years.
Yes.
That is not the lifespan of the company. So as far as the records are concerned that came from CIPRO is that the company was established in the same year as the tender. So, as the shareholder, do you know whether the company was making a 2 million rand turnover?
I don't know if they were making projections or not. Because
But remember that you said
statement-
that it's your money.
Yes, that statement
yeah.
that you are making. No, I'm responding the statement, not the money. I'm
Yeah.
saying, you are saying they are making 2 million
Yeah.
per annum.
Yes.
Right? I'm saying to you, I don't know if they were making projections or they were factually saying they are
No,
making 2 million.
no,
But
that's-
however, the matter is before court. They will answer that question.
Did you
Because
receive
they are the ones who filled in
before
the tender documents, and they will know what to answer and what experience are they putting in there,
Yeah.
and why they said the 2 million. I am not involved as a shareholder at an operational level.
Okay.
Yes.
So, with the 2 million rand, do you remember ever receiving any dividends from On Point Engineering before September 20, what was it, 2009?
I won't remember that sitting here. I mean, I won't remember those unless you give me a document you are reading from. But I know that Ratanang received dividends from Gilda Investment, and it started even before the On Point tender.
Okay. Can we raise another issue just quickly? Before we...
Can we just...
This one is just the one, and I don't
Yeah,
know
sure, yeah.
which one. It is, again, it's the firearm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you set off a firearm at the party's anniversary celebration?
The matter is sub judice.
Okay, the matter is sub judice. With with the accusation around occupying of land, Gonja, what's that case called again, guys?
Riotous Act, Assembly
Yes, the
Act.
Riotous Act.
Yeah.
Newcastle.
No, yes. With the Riotous Act case, why don't you make the similar argument that the matter is sub judice?
Where did I speak about Riotous Assemblies Act?
Every time when you appear before court, there's a rally, and you speak to exactly what you did on those particular days.
No.
So it's not,
No, I speak about land occupation,
yeah.
not the ABCs of the case.
But you also say that there's nothing wrong with what you did.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So the
Even
matter
in the
is,
firearm, there's nothing wrong that I did. That I can say. And
so
therefore,
did
I
you
will
fi-
not be...
did you fire a
The matter
firearm?
is sub judice.
The matter is sub
I will
judice,
not
but the
be-
truth doesn't change.
Let's listen to this. I will not be pleading guilty.
You won't be pleading guilty. So you didn't fire a firearm.
I will not be pleading guilty. The matter is sub judice.
So you didn't fire a firearm.
But I can't answer that question because the matter is before the court. I will answer it in court.
But the thing is that the truth remains the same, no matter who asks
No.
and whether you are aware the truth.
But once you are charged...
I'm
on-
asking you, did you fire the
No,
firearm?
but once you are charged, my man, you are now living under the guidance of your law, your legal representatives. And therefore, I'm not going to undermine that advice of my legal representatives so that tomorrow, when they fail to do their work, they don't accuse me of having messed up their case.
So you yourself are not sure about your own truth? that
No,
you
no, I
can
know
say?
my truth. I told you my
But why
truth.
can't you share your truth?
I'm not going to plead guilty. That's
so
my
you
truth.
didn't fire a firearm?
I'm not guilty of anything.
Okay.
Thank you, President. There's a maxim in law which is called "he who alleges must prove." So anyone who alleges he bears the onus to prove. The other one is, we are all innocent until proven guilty. I think that should always be borne in mind. Mpumi, with that said, can you please give us the questions? Give us one at a time, please.
All right. We have a question from Sophie Mukwena from SABC. I know this is about VBS, but I have a question on the Middle East. What is the reaction of the EFF to the current tension in the Middle East? Will Israel and Palestine reach lasting solutions to this crisis?
Well, our view is that there must be the coexistence of the two, and that there must be an everlasting peace in the Middle East, and that the people of Palestine should rightfully so claim their land, and Israel must leave the Palestinians' land. So the intention to extend their territory in the Middle East is actually goes against the many multinational resolutions that have been taken by multinational bodies. So we want peace in the Middle East, we want the coexistence, and with Palestine being recognized as a legitimate state.
Sure. Another one, please.
Gaugelo Magolego from UFM and News Note Agency has a couple of questions. I'll start with the first one. During your Youth Day address, you criticized the current leadership of City of Joburg, among others, saying they were trying to force the city's housing agency to appoint a company previously flagged for some wrongdoing. Please take us through some of these decisions the city took under Geoff Makubo that you deem questionable.
Almost senior managers in the city are being subjected to some sort of suspension or inquiry or leave or anything of that sort. So, and we know why. Because the current government wants to access resources in that city without following the due process. The company that was flagged out in the Gautrain, which Mashaba was chasing when he was still there, demanded that it must be reinstated. And those who are presiding over the entity of Joburg property demanded that 200 million should be sourced from that company so that its contract can be reinstated. There is a lot going on in Joburg, a lot of corruption, yet the so-called investigative journalists are unable to expose that open corruption that is happening in Joburg.
In light of that, do you think there are projects in the city of Joburg that are being targeted for reversal simply because they were done by the EFF with Herman Mashaba?
Well, we don't have any project we did with Herman Mashaba. You know, I've been to Herman Mashaba's house twice. We never spoke once about tenders. We've always spoken about how do we position the city politically, how do we ensure that we get proper leadership, both politically and administratively. The second time I went, it was when Mashaba wanted me to convince the EFF to allow councillors of EFF to take part in the executive positions, including giving him the speaker from the EFF. Those are the things that me and Mashaba will speak about. So I've never, not once, you can even ask him, never once did I discuss a tender with Mashaba or Musima Imani. Never.
Still from Gaugelo, considering Helen Zille's attempts, repeated attempts to tweet away the history of black oppression by whites and the reluctance by the DA to act against her, does the EFF regret voting with the DA in municipalities? Does the EFF have a decision on whether it would work with the DA again in the future?
We've made that position very clear. That's why we're not voting with DA in Joburg and in Tshwane and in Nelson Mandela.
Okay.
Is there a different journalist or?
I'm really,
Because Gaugelo is asking
is it too
something
many?
else
Bobby,
now. Are we done?
give us also from the known outlets. I mean, that's it. Okay, guys, do you have
What's the
any?
known outlet?
Like, I mean, you said UFM. I'm saying, is there something else from another outlet?
Oh, that is, I know Gaugelo is a journalist.
Yeah, I know.
I just want to quickly bring in something from Adrian Basson, actually. So Adrian speaks of a City Press article from 2012, and he says, why did you use the Ratanang Family Trust as the shareholder of On Point? Why did you not hold the shares directly or in your own trust?
No, it's my Ratanam Family Trust, is my trust. It's my own
It's
trust.
not in your son's name.
Ivana. You can give it any name, it's CD. It's a name, it's not a trust. It's a name of a trust.
Sorry, yes.
It's my trust.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's yours.
Yeah,
any name,
I
it
did
doesn't
with
matter.
my trust. I was a trustee myself. Da.
Can I ask one other thing? No, hold on.
You can ask it.
One last take.
You can go.
One last take from me. The Mahuna issue, the bank card issue. If I said to you, you said anything goes, right? If I said to you, Rukupa, when are the bank cards are right now?
Bank card.
Yeah, do you have a wallet on you? Do you have the cards on you?
I don't
We'd
have-
like to
I
see if
don't
maybe
have
you have
wallet.
it.
I don't have wallet on me, but I can give you when we go out.
Yes,
On
please.
condition you will publish that I gave you and you searched my wallet and you couldn't find that nonsense in my wallet.
Okay, fair.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, ngokuzithoba okukhulu.
No, wait, there are questions from Zingisa that were not
Yes,
responded.
I must.
Oh.
Yeah. Bobby.
Zingiswa.
Okay.
Yeah,
I have
Mvubu.
questions from Zingisa Mvumvu from Sunday Times.
Oh, sure.
Why are SMS notifications from Santa Clara Trading Bank account transactions going into a mobile phone number belonging to Mr. Malema?
I don't know what he's talking about.
All right. The second question. Santa Clara pays suppliers for Sud restaurant in Soweto and also makes direct money transfers to the Sud bank account, a company registered under your cousin Tulu Malema's name. Why?
There's no cousin of mine, Tulu Malema, who's got an account registered under her name in Sud. Is that what he's saying?
Let me just reread it. Santa Clara pays suppliers for Sud restaurant in Soweto and also makes direct money transfers to the Sud bank account, a company registered under your cousin Tulu Malema's name. Why?
Which company is that? Santa Clara?
So Sud bank account. Santa Clara makes the transfers
So
to Sud.
Tulu is belonging to which company?
To Sud.
No, there's no company registered under Tulu called Sud.
All right.
There's no such a company.
The third question, Santa Clara has also made money transfers to Munedzi Family Trust, registered in your son's name, and Mazimbu Investment Trust. Why, if not for Mr. Malema's benefit?
No, it's not for my benefit. I mean, my cousins run my family businesses, including this trust that I'm talking about. Where they've got interest, it is them who run them. So they will, from time to time, exchange monies. We are not strangers. We are family.
All right, the fourth question, he's got a couple of questions. Munedzi, which receives money from Santa Clara, has purchased a property in Sandton which previously belonged to the EFF.
Yeah.
Why did Mr. Malema's family trust buy this house?
Because the house was on sale. We could have bought any other house. We bought the one in Sundown. Because I used to stay there, and I knew the owner. Actually, the owner was selling the property. Then I told the leadership of the EFF, they bought the property as an investment purposes. I was no longer staying there. And then later on, the EFF said, it's not worth it. They are selling it, and we bought it. It's 100% financed by APSA. 100%. It has got a bond.
Okay. Is this the same person?
Yes. He's got
Do we not have another
Got
person?
how many?
9 questions.
Yeah, but that's abuse. Okay, is there someone else who, other than, because I mean, we do that with Khawkhel. Can we have someone else? Is there someone else in the group?
There's
No,
one
done.
else.
Okay, I think guys were fine. Are you guys fine?
I just want to see the bank
Yeah.
cards.
Sorry?
Aldrin?
I just want to see the bank cards.
Bengicela ukubuza nje ngespeed.
Yeah.
So last year when you had a bereavement, did the president of the country give him Malia Kendlela at all?
Cyril,
Yeah.
give who?
Ekai?
No,
He didn't.
no.
Okay.
He only sent me a message.
Only a message.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming, guys.
Thank you.
I hope that you enjoyed your
I
time.
hope you're happy, Samkelo.
Are you happy, Sam?
It was really amazing.
Okay, thank you.
Great, by the way.
Eh?
This is great, by the way. I hope that we'll get more of
Okay, we
these type
can
of
go.
opportunities, and we must call it the Malema
yeah.
format. You know, so when we get to the press briefings, they must ask you to what
Okay.
format you want.
Okay, thank you for coming, Aldred. Next time, be early, Aldred.
It's my show. What do you mean?
That was nominated.
It's my show.
Yeah? But you would have said to somebody, oh my gosh, get the bank card out. But let's go.